What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Tait Talks NBA podcast. This is a bit of a weird episode because obviously the world's pretty crazy right now, and so basically I'm just going to talk about a few of the things that have happened over the past weeks. I'm sure you know about them, but I'm going to talk a little bit about details and just stuff that I want to mention. First off, we're going to start with the NBA. Obviously, the NBA, a week ago today, Thursday, or almost 2 weeks ago now, it was canceled, it was suspended, and I actually watched it on live television. All happened. It was ridiculous. It was like a building burning down. It started with one game getting canceled and suspended, and then just really snowballed into everything getting canceled. So what it looks like is they're trying to figure out what they're gonna do as for now, but it looks like it's definitely gonna be canceled for the next weeks, if not months. My guess is that it won't happen for months. They say they're either going to go straight to the playoffs or possibly finish the season. I definitely don't imagine them finishing the season. They might have one or two games that they might play. They might play their last 2 games of the season just to have, warm-up games, so to speak. But what I honestly think will happen is they'll probably go to the playoffs, and I think a beneficial thing is to maybe do 5-game series, almost best of 5, all the way up until the finals, where I think they should do a 7 still, but I think it'd be better to do 5 games. A benefit that people are saying is that the players will be rested, so this could be a really good playoffs because we'll have so many rested players, but I think some players, that'll be great, like the LeBrons, the Kawhis, Anthony Davis, those guys. The rest will really help them, but I think a surprising amount of players will actually get out of basketball shape because of the quarantine. They can't go to these gyms, they can't go to their trainers, they're just stuck at home. But I think like the LeBrons of the world, they're always in shape whether they're at home or not. So it'll be interesting to see. I think the rest could be good for the playoffs. It could make them really entertaining, or it could really hurt them. I guess we just have to wait and find out. And there's also talking about future permanent schedule changes, which I don't know what they mean by that, but it seems like they might shorten season length, less games in a season. I don't know why they're talking about that. I think you just play a shorter playoffs and then you go into the next season. But we'll see what happens there. Quick talk about football or soccer. The Premier League is canceled, hoping to resume. I just wanted to touch on the fact that I think even if it is canceled and they don't play the rest of it, I think Liverpool should still win. They were so far ahead. I think it doesn't make a difference whether the end was played out or not. We pretty much know that Liverpool would have won. Now, personally, the biggest downfall of this for me was March Madness being canceled. I was so looking forward to watching all that, especially Duke. I had a really good feeling about Duke this year. Unfortunately, obviously we're not going to see that. And there's so much that is affected by March Madness being canceled. Not only, obviously, us not having the tournament, not having a champion for this year, not seeing that, but not seeing the players play. I think players play in the tournament, and some of them raise their stock so much that they make a career for themselves. It totally changes their lives. I have 2 examples. One is John Morant from last year. Obviously, he was still a high-round pick. He was going to go, lottery for sure. But then people saw he carried his team past the first round and almost, I can't exactly remember, but it almost passed the second round. And he really outperformed and shined and carried his team, and it showed, this guy can lead our team. And then he got picked second because of it. Another guy, Tait DiVincenzo, not exactly as high of a story, but he was on Villanova, I believe. And, he was maybe a second-round pick, might have got picked in the draft and floated around. Teams probably wouldn't really looked at him. And then he played in the tournament, and he showed out in the championship and all throughout the tournament, and it got him to be a mid-20 round pick and go to the Bucks, and now he's a solid piece on the Bucks, and he's becoming starter quality. I think it's a lot of players are going to suffer because they weren't able to show their talents in the tournament, and the regular season for college wasn't even totally finished, so we didn't get to see all of that. What I wrote is short views of potential top picks. You know, there's a lot of players that you see in the regular season and you say, okay, they can score here, but are they really, can they get to that next level when it matters? You know, even in the conference tournaments, we didn't get to see it. You know, can this guy show up? You know, with Zion, we saw this guy can show up when they need him to. With Ja Morant, this guy can show up when they need him to. It's the clutch gene that you get to see in March Madness that we won't get to see this year. And I think it also has a weird effect on the draft. Basically, with all those things, you know, you don't know what the player is going to be like or how they're going to turn out because you didn't see them in the tournament. You know, I think it'll be very interesting. You know, the NFL as of now is proceeding as normal. They don't seem to like they're going to change anything. My guess is they're not going to have a preseason because I think it'll still be lingering towards then. But I think the disease meaning. But I think the regular season will probably start around its normal time, hopefully, if not delayed a few weeks or a month. But it seems like it'll be normal. I know free agency for the NFL has been going on. That's crazy. Obviously, you got the big signings of Tom Brady to Tampa. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Greg Olsen to the Seahawks that happened a while ago. Obviously, the huge DeAndre Hopkins going to the Cardinals. I mean, that's ridiculous. I don't even know what to say about that trade. You know, not even the players saw it coming. You know, I guess it makes sense there was a rift between the coach and the player, but that's the kind of thing you just fix. When you have the debatably number one receiver in the league, you got to fix a relationship. I think it's worth fixing a relationship to keep the best receiver than to trade him. You know, I mean, the Texans really didn't get much out of the trade, so that happened. And then you got Stephon Diggs going to the Buffalo Bills. That's an interesting trade. I think it gives the Bills more weapons. I don't know about the Vikings on this one. That's a bit odd trading one of their better receivers, but the Bills gained a great receiver. I think that could really help them get to that next level. They just need to really extend their running game, and they're up there with almost to a contending team. Let me try and think of a few others. Phillip Rivers to the Colts, that's a really good one because I think he'll be protected there. As long as he can make good reads when he's protected, I think he'll actually look really good this year. A lot of people don't like him, but I think he really could come out and play his game and really do good. David Johnson in that Texans trade going to the Texans from the Cardinals. I think it could be beneficial to the Texans, but I don't think it's worth the trade. You know, you're trading that number one receiver in the league for an injury-riddled kind of back end of his prime running back. We'll see. You know, I could be wrong and he could come out and have one of his best seasons, but he has struggled the past 2 years. So I hope he doesn't. I hope he comes out and is a beast again, but it's going to be tough for that to happen. So I guess we'll see what happens there. Let me think. The Patriots now signing Brian Hoyer or whatever his name was, the backup from the Colts. I guess he used to be on their team, and now they're saying he potentially could start for the team. That's a weird idea. I think it'll be odd. You know, a lot of people are saying they could go for Cam Newton because Cam Newton still hasn't found a spot. You know, the Panthers don't want him because they signed Teddy Bridgewater, another very interesting signing. I think that could go well for the Panthers, but I don't think Bridgewater is definitely not Cam Newton, and we'll see what he does this year. I think he's more of a drive-the-bus quarterback, but I could be wrong again. You got Nick Foles being signed by the Bears, which is interesting because I'm not sure who's going to start there. You know, you got Trubisky, who's meh, and you got Foles, who's now meh. But I think, you know, it'll be interesting. I think they'll start Foles because he's familiar with the coaching staff, familiar with the plays, and he'll know what he's doing. So that'll be really interesting all around. I think there's probably more signings that I haven't quite touched on, but I think it'll all be really interesting with how it works out. I'm going with my Seahawks again. You know, they're going to win the Super Bowl, no question, but we'll see what happens. Now, my advice of what you can do during this time. Obviously, some of us are going to have to do school in these coming weeks, and eventually we're going to have to go back, obviously. But for now, there's a lot of free time, so, you know, the things that we can do, you know, you can watch highlights of past sports to cure the addiction. And then you got NFL Game Pass for free just came out. They came out with that, so you can rewatch old games that you love. I just rewatched the Seahawks-Niners game from last season when the Seahawks won in overtime. And also take this time to really appreciate sports and know how much you like them so that when they do come on, you can enjoy them and watch them. Because I know even when the NBA was on, I honestly wasn't watching that much. And just because I took advantage of it, you know, it's on, it'll be on next week, and what do you know, it's not on. So, you know, just take this time to really appreciate sports. and not take advantage of it. And that's all for me. Make sure you guys stay safe, wash your hands, sanitize, and I'll see you next time.